Damn it, Vincent spat under his breath as the suspect took off down the alleyway. Vincent struggled to pursue the perp as he took off through the parking lot of an apartment complex. But just as the dark-hooded man rounded the next corner, he hesitated, nearly careening into a group of high school girls. And with that, I discharged 2 electrodes with 50,000 volts of electricity into his body, and he instantly dropped, his body shaking and convulsing, even as I cuffed him. When I got to the squad car, I pulled out a couple of evidence bags, one for the G19 Glock he used to rob the liquor store with, and the other for the $400 cash that he plainly admitted to stealing. But when I got around to asking him what his name was and searching him for an ID, he wouldn't tell me. Why the fuck wouldn't he just cooperate? After I got him into the squad car, I radioed back to the station, letting the people there know that I'd caught the suspect, drove him there, and then went home. My shift had ended about 15 minutes ago anyway, and, well, just as my shift had been ending, information came across the line that a robbery in progress had been taking place, and I was within the area and happy to help. Of course, how couldn't I have been? It's my job. When I got home from the station, I was delighted to see that my wife, Sarah, was still working on that book of hers, and so shall I. It was a romance, not exactly my kind of book, but hey, whatever floats your boat. As I stepped into the dimly lit room, I saw that she was scrawling things down on a page so feverishly, with such concentration that I had thought that she didn't even notice me enter the room, until she looked up and said, "How was everything at the station?" I hesitated. Well, I got dispatched to catch an armed robber. He get away? No, I caught him, but he wouldn't give me his name. He looked kind of familiar, though. Just can't put my finger on... Jacob Miller! He worked at the bank. I don't know why he would do something like this. I mean, as far as I had heard, he got in trouble for some marijuana in the past, but, nothing that one might actually consider to be a real crime. And yes, I am well aware that I'm not supposed to be telling my wife or anybody that I know closely, for that matter, about these kinds of things, but Sarah was not one to kiss and tell, so I wasn't really worried about it. As I discussed before, it's not as though I condone armed robbery, but I was much more eager to figure out who was behind all the disappearances in our town. See, in the last year, 13 people have gone missing in this town. And just the other day, we had 2 more cases pop up. I think whomever may be behind it is beginning to accelerate what they're doing. I don't know why they would just be picking people off from this town and this town alone. I figured they'd want to stay off the map, but whatever. Upon coming across this information for the first time, an outsider could simply argue that the disappearances were just some teens running away from home. But I knew for a fact that the majority of them were middle-aged, so clearly something was greatly out of the ordinary here. These people had never resurfaced. You might actually expect that with a runaway, but none of our cases had been solved yet. A colleague of mine had informed me that we had a suspect in custody, and I was very eager to see him. So I asked Chief Menendez if I could sit in the viewing room. He did me one better. He put me on guard in the room with our best detective, Randall Vandecoot. Where are they? Who do you work for? You know we've got this whole town blocked off, right? No one gets in or out unless we say so. Sooner or later, we're gonna find your little buddies. The suspect just looked up with a crooked smile. He said, I bet you guys don't have the woods secured. Slam. Randy pounded his fist against the table so hard that it shook the cuffs that had been holding the suspect to the table. The suspect didn't flinch. He didn't so much as bat an eye. I was no detective, but I was just about 99% sure this guy had something to do with the disappearances. And frankly, I was pissed. But then again, how upset could I really be? At least we had the guy in custody, whether we had a lot of evidence against him or not. Sooner or later, I was a firm believer that we would get something. We had to. Put in all this time, all this effort, all this work. We've got to get something on this guy. And just then, something came crackling across the radio. Vincent, get down to the jail block now. I looked up, a little bit astonished to see that Detective Randy was staring right at me, his mouth open in surprise. I glanced over to see that the suspect's eyes were on me as well, his eyebrows pinned up, that smile still on his face, a look of smug satisfaction. And then I left, heading down past the cubicles, hanging right, and moving down the stairwell. When I got to the cell block, the door was being held open by a rookie officer, his eyes pulled wide open, a look of shock pinned on his face as he held open the steel-plated door. I approached the room. I could feel the temperature difference, as well as the cool air blowing on my face due to the different ventilation system. I proceeded to move in, and was getting ready to turn around and ask him where I was supposed to head when the situation explained itself. It was obvious, judging by the stretcher being carried away from Jacob Miller's cell.